So if you do have questions, please line up. And right now, I would like to introduce our expert panelists. So if you want to grab that mic right by you, and please tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Darcy Howe. I'm the founder and managing director of the Casey Rice Fund. We're a venture capital co-investment fund that invests in Kansas City area early stage companies, SquareOffs being one of our investments.
Good morning, family. How y'all doing today? Hey, honey. My name is Patricia McCreary. I am founder and CEO of Margaret's Place. We are an adult recreation center in the heart of Kansas City, and we breathe life back into the retired and disabled community here. So thank you.
Thank you both for being here. And if you could, if you have a smartphone, please download the 1 Million Cups app. This can allow you to provide additional feedback to the presenters, which is the most important aspect of 1 Million Cups, is providing the presenters your feedback. So now we would like to introduce our first presenter, Linda with iShare Medical.
Good morning, I'm Linda Van Horn, and I'm the president and CEO of iShare Medical. And I created iShare Medical because a complete medical record does not exist. And when patients see multiple different providers in different care settings, none of whom have access to complete information, it becomes really easy for things to go wrong. And when things go wrong in healthcare, that can cost you your health, your wealth, and even your life. In fact, in a study done by Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, they found that preventable medical errors were the third leading cause of death in the United States behind heart disease and cancer. This is in large part because the medical records are stored by the provider, and each provider has just a small fragment of information that is not shared. In fact, the study's author, Dr. McQuarrie, said that patients don't just die from heart attacks and bacteria, they die from system-wide failings and poorly coordinated care. In healthcare, this is the way we coordinate care. We send 9 billion faxes annually. In fact, in a study by the Commission for Affordable Quality Healthcare, they found that 94% of all medical records exchanged with an insurance company is faxed, and that costs about $7 to send a fax. We can reduce this cost by nearly $2.2 billion just by automating the process and using a product like iShare Medical Messaging. iShare Medical Messaging is a platform for the secure exchange of medical records between trusted patients, providers, and payers. And it works regardless of care setting, provider, or EHR system. Now, when we created iShare Medical, we knew we would need to be able to get, organize, and share health information, and that we would need to be trusted. So we became an accredited trust anchor so we could get the information right out of the EHR system. Our customers are patients, providers, and payers. The market size is about $305 billion annually. Patients are interested in getting their own records. Providers, like your doctor, need to have medical records so they can properly take care of you. And payers, like insurance companies, need access to medical records so they can provide prior authorization for services and to pay for claims. Now, our software is software as a service. We have 2 ways we price that: per user with a certain number of transactions, or for our RESTful API, or application program interface, we price a flat fee, and then it's a number of transactions that are included in that, and then they pay a per transaction fee. Now, people use our medical records to get things like prescription data, laboratory results, and x-rays and radiology reports, as well as medical records that your doctor created, such as your office visit or procedure notes. There's 2 different examples shown up here. An unstructured document was probably created in Word, and then a structured document, which is a continuum of care document, which is all codified. We accept documents in any format because we think the real key is getting the right information to the right provider, on the right patient, at the right time, every time. Now, our customers use iShare Medical Messaging to better coordinate care to refer back and forth to each other and share information, and also to better engage with their patients. iShare Medical is one of only 2 companies that have achieved all 3 of these accreditations. And to put this into perspective, the Veterans Administration took 2 years becoming accredited. Anthem, one of the largest Blue Crosses, took a year and a half getting accredited. We are an accredited trust anchor, accredited partnership for patient trust anchor, and an accredited governmental trust anchor. There's only 5 of those. So those 5 are Cerner, SureScripts, MaxMD, EMR Direct, and iShare Medical. This allows us to exchange with 23 federal agencies, including the Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA. In fact, it helped us to land our first major contract for the Veterans Choice Program in 28 states. There are 200,000 providers that serve veterans outside of the VA system, and they need to exchange medical records through Veterans Choice. And they have to have also, those 200,000 providers have to have a tool like iShare Medical Messaging to communicate, and there's only 5 of us that can do that. We've onboarded our first major health system under this contract, and that is Sutter Health. They have 17 hospitals in the Central Valley, San Francisco Bay, and Sacramento, California. We've also onboarded a large hospital system with 24 hospitals and cancer centers in the Northeast, and also a large physical therapy group that has 270 locations on the East Coast. Now, our network spans about 250,000 patients. Patients are a new addition to our network. Our network used to be exclusively just for providers, and payers are also new to our network. We serve 1.7 million direct addresses from 122 provider organizations and transact about 51.5 million transactions quarterly in our network. Now, I'd like to share a little bit of more of a personal story, which is my involvement with Pipeline. I am a proud member of the 2018 Pipeline class, and this is us, my class, with our ant pillows on when we were at Zoloft. And so we had a lot of fun that day with these pillows and having some fun, but Pipeline is for serious entrepreneurs that are looking to build their businesses. We work really hard. We go to modules every quarter, and in those modules, we work on us. We help each other, but we're working on our businesses. So if there's serious entrepreneurs that would like to know more about Pipeline, the applications are open right now. Pipeline member companies have, in the 11 years since inception, they have raised over $500 million in capital and contributed back $622 million in wages, and have generated more than $1.4 billion in revenue. This is giving back to our community. If you're interested, you need to be an entrepreneur who's either a founder, co-founder, CEO, or president of your company. You just need to control your intellectual property. You also need to participate in 10 every module. You need to be from Kansas, Missouri, Kansas City, or St. Louis. And you have to be doing something that's going to have an impact on our region. We're about making an impact, making a difference. Pipeline is very different than any other program that you've probably heard of because they don't take any ownership. If you're lucky enough to be selected to be a Pipeline entrepreneur, the education and the contacts that you get in Pipeline are free to you. This is my class again. Applications are open right now. So if you'd like to, at the end of the program, talk to anybody who's got on a Pipeline shirt, we'd love to talk to you about it, or go to the website that's listed on here to apply. So we are Pipeline. This picture is from our trip this year. We went to Banff, Canada. Each year, each module is at a different location, and there's one usually destination module. This was Banff. And this is the Pipeline entrepreneurs in Canada this year. And we believe that together we are greater. Thank you.
Okay, Linda, that was amazing. I've seen Linda pitch over the last 2 years, and she had a tendency, because she is so smart and she has so much knowledge in her head, to get into the weeds, and you were so not in the weeds. I loved your presentation. Amazing. I want to cry. It was so great.
Thank you. No cryptographic key discussions.
I think Pipeline has done a lot for you, I can tell already.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So here's a bit of a softball question related for any entrepreneur in the audience. How do you think about building out your team? This is you're competing with some very big other providers. How do you do that, and how do you think about building out your team?
Yeah, I think the personnel is the hardest thing that I have to deal with, is getting the right people together. I'm totally blessed with having a fabulous team right now. That's not always been the case. And I've learned many lessons, which is to trust your instincts. If you hire someone, everybody seems super great when you interview them, and then sometimes they don't work out. And they say, hire slowly, fire fast. And that's so true. And the other thing is hire talent, train skills. So if you can find somebody who's smart and is capable, obviously there's base stuff that you have to know in terms of skills, but if you can find someone smart, they can learn anything. So I think you have to really look for people that are talented and willing to learn. And
So what's your next hire?
Oh, my next hire. We need sales and marketing help. Really, it's really sales. So we're looking to grow and grow very quickly. We do have this major contract with a government agency, and there's 200,000 providers that need one of the 5 governmental trust anchors. And so we're really looking to scale that up and aggressively go after that market. We have lots of opportunities right now, and it's a matter of really targeting them. We're really focusing on things that will generate the most amount of revenue and have the most impact on what we're doing.
Okay, so my question, first of all, I think you did a great job. I've been on this stage before, and I know how annoying that can be and how nervous that is. So you did a great job with your presentation. My question is a little selfish. I'm a provider, I'm a medical provider in the healthcare industry, so I'm excited about this. I was over there like, ooh, we need this, because it is a big headache when you're dealing with the doctors and getting the information in a time frame that you need to have it in, blah, blah, blah. So my question is, and you kind of touched on this with her question, do you have any projections on how long it's going to take you to kind of corner the market? Because I noticed you didn't say anything here in Missouri, so how long do you think it'll take you to kind of get nationwide with this?
So we are nationwide now. So we do have customers throughout the United States, including Alaska, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. So it's really just a matter of scaling up, doing things like this that brings awareness to who we are and what we're doing, and also the industry as a whole. So CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they're a big payer. They have renamed their program that they do for incentivizing incentivizing providers in promoting interoperability. So interoperability is and that's what we do. Exchanging these medical records seamlessly across organizational boundaries is a really big deal. So just getting the word out about who we are, what we're doing, we're scaling up fast.
Is there, one more question, I'm going to pass this back.
Yes.
Is there a way for your providers to communicate through that platform with doctors and other providers?
Absolutely.
Like a little chat room?
Look at you signed up.
So before this, we were talking, I was asking a couple of questions, and you gave a really great explanation using the cell phone system. Maybe that'll help people to understand, because I've known you for a couple of years, but I understood it better by that example.
Okay, yeah, sure, great question. So so imagine that you have a cell phone. You have an Android or an iPhone. If you have a cell phone, you cannot make a phone call. So think about it a second. You can't make a phone call until you have AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, or some carrier to make that phone call, right? So we're the AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint that connects up EHRs and other software programs to be able to talk to each other. So when I mentioned up there that we're the trust anchor, and we have the contract for the Veterans Choice Program, we have 200,000 providers in these 28 states that we have the contract for that need to communicate. They all need to have a services provider cross-certified by the federal bridge, like we are, a governmental trust anchor, to communicate. So we have 200,000 providers that have to use one of the 5 of these governmental trust anchors in order to communicate. So that's what we're trying to do right now, is to let them know, who we are, what we're doing, get contracts in place with them so we can be their, basically, their services provider for exchanging medical records.
Because we have a room full of entrepreneurs, I know, can you give our entrepreneurs or up-and-coming entrepreneurs or people in the room that have an idea to start a business, maybe one of the hardest things you've had to overcome and just some good advice for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually a serial entrepreneur. iShare Medical is my third company. So the first company I started was the Pain Institute. We were an anesthesia interventional pain practice. We opened 22 locations at Ambulatory Surgery Center and the Rehab Institute, which is physical therapy. I sold that company and started 21st Century Edge, which is a consulting firm, and worked with physicians, hospitals, ambulatory surgery centers throughout the U.S. on the business aspects of building their practices. But I kept being frustrated by nobody solving the problem in healthcare, which is sharing information. And many people think we can save as much as 25%, or about $890 million annually, by just sharing information and coordinating care better. And I believe that that is an accurate estimate. So when I think about what I have to, myself and my role, and I think the most important thing is that you love what you do, that you're passionate about it. You're going to be tested as an entrepreneur, and you have to be really committed to, at no cost, that you're going to get this thing done, and it has to be something that you enjoy, or that's going to be a burden on you. So pick something you love and solve a problem that's needed in the industry, and don't look back. Just go after it and never give up.
There we go. We're going to open it up to audience questions. So if you have a question, please line up over here.
Okay, my question is very personal because it involves my fiance, but he's a dialysis patient, and he is passing all the medical tests to be a kidney transplant. Where we're having the problem is the dialysis center is not getting the records, the billing, to Medicaid on time. So his spin down, even though he qualifies for zero spin down, is not happening. Are you working with any of the big dialysis clinics?
We are not, but we'd love to talk to them about how to help them. But if it's getting the medical records for billing purposes, that usually goes through in that, I'm going to get all tech on you, 510x12 protocol. So that's usually not on our side of the world, which is direct protocol. And I mean that we're trying to expand as an industry to use direct for exchanging medical records for payers in that realm, but that's pretty still new. But I think the problem is more on their billing, their practice management and billing side.
Well, basically, they don't get the records to Medicaid in a timely fashion, which, from their perspective, if they can keep people on dialysis rather than having them get a transplant, they're getting $5,000 a month to do that. But his life expectancy, a dialysis patient's life expectancy is 5 years, a transplant is 20 years. So, and he's already exceeded his 5 years.
Well, I hope that, I wish you a lot of great luck. I think that's a very difficult thing that you're dealing with. I thank you for your question.
Hey, great product, sounds like, by the way. My question is, do you have any seed investment rounds in the future or IPO?
Oh, I like that question a lot. Yes. We are currently raising our first round funding. We've actually been self-funded to date, and so we're seeking our first round funding right now. So I'd love to talk to you afterwards if you have some interest in your qualified investor.
Hi, Lynn.
Nice presentation. Quick question for you. I'm curious how you're working with EHR providers and how you're differentiating yourself outside of the department certification you have with other people.
Okay, so the question was, I don't know if you guys heard it because I didn't hear it that well, but that I'm working with EHR vendors and how do we differentiate ourselves. with others. So a couple ways we differentiate ourselves is first by providing a level of security and trust that's higher than any of our competitors. So we're cross-certified by the Federal Bridge. The federal government has something called the Federal Health Architecture. I know I'm getting all techie on you, but we provide the highest level of security and trust that is in our system, and we do that for all of our clients. So we don't just limit that to the governmental trust anchor bundle. We provide all of our customers. So think about it this way. If you're traveling on a plane, you can get on a plane with a driver's license or a passport. The driver's license, you can go around the United States, but if you have a passport, you can go everywhere. So we issue all of our identities at passport level. That means that our providers can exchange in the regular trust bundle, but they can also exchange with the government. So that's a huge advantage because a lot of people charge significantly more money for that. We're also fast. We're little and we're agile, and we can get our customers set up very quickly. I was talking to a hospital the other day, and they said, how long does this take to get implemented? She said, we need it really fast. And I said, well, usually we can do it within a couple of days, but if we, it all depends on a couple of things, but we might be able to do it the same day. And she said, I was hoping that we could get it done by the end of the year. Yeah, we can do that.
Hi, I'm John Haig with Gotham Advisory. You mentioned how important defensible IP is. What's your IP, and is it blockchain? Does it use blockchain?
So we are not blockchain, but we are PKI based. So now I'm going to get all techie because of the question. But blockchain is based upon the public key infrastructure of PKI, in which there's an assignment of two cryptographic keys, one for encryption and one for signing. And then that's the way that we can do that. Now, blockchain is different than what we do. We're a direct trust anchor, because blockchain has no trust framework. And so what a trust framework is identity proofing. So our product has three real components. ID proofing, we have to prove passport level identity management of who you are, that you are a patient, a provider, a cardiac pacemaker implanted in somebody's chest that's transmitting data. And then we bind that identity to the person. So we assign two cryptographic keys. One key pair is used for encryption, decryption. The other key pair is used for digital signature. That's bound to the identity. What does that mean? We have non-repudiation of identity and data provenance, so we know who's sending the data and how it's being exchanged across the healthcare system. And our technology behind that is PKI. We are also leveraging our trust framework for FHIR, which is the Fast Healthcare Interoperable Resource, which is a new technology transportation mechanism in healthcare.
Hi, my name is Calvin. Excellent presentation, by the way. Kind of freaking me out because you just read my mind and answered some of my questions. I work in business intelligence, and I was going to ask, number one, how you ensure data integrity and data security, but you just went into that. The second question would be for your industry. You started to go into that. What would you consider to be your number one KPI?
I'm sorry, the number one?
Key performance.
Oh, key performance indicator. Oh, gosh. Well, there's several that I think are very important for us. So we look to the number of customers. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I'm always looking at the bottom line. So I'm looking at revenue, but I'm also looking at expenses. And there's kind of an old saying here in the Midwest, sometimes it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you do not spend. So we keep a very tight rein on expenses. And we also focus on very high customer service that's kind of not as quantifiable as other things. But what our customers tell us, and we take a great deal of pride in, that our software is beautiful and it's easy to use. And I tell my developers all the time, a 4-year-old can use an iPad. Why are my doctors that have 24 years after college of education, they can't use their EHR? It's not the doctor, okay? And so we really focus on making it usable. And so when I have a customer say it's beautiful, and that's the word they usually use, your software is beautiful, and I thought it was going to be hard. Most people can use our software within like a minute. I mean, it's just designed to be very intuitive.
Okay, last question. What can we as a community do to help you?
Great. Well, if anybody knows of a provider, a doctor, hospital, pharmacy, lab, or that needs to share medical records, I'd love to talk to him about, who we are and what we're doing. We're very reasonably priced software. We run about $19.95 per provider per month. So that's we pride ourselves on being affordable for our customers. And the other thing is we are seeking our first round funding. So we just are opening up that the first round. And so if you know of any qualified investors, that would be super to send them along. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. We're going to see a weekly update from our friends at Startland News.
Hey everyone, Startland News reporter Austin Barnes here. Let's get right into today's top stories. 4 new startups are joining the Digital Sandbox family. Carol's Irish Bitters, Travel Hive, iSocial, and Grant Company will receive funding from the Proof of Concept program. Program Director Jeff Shackelford says to date, Digital Sandbox has funded over 100 projects with more than $50 million raised. Culture meets couture. Curia Liaison Couture creates custom pieces incorporating customers' cultural influences. Founder Esmeralda Lola uses colors from flags and patterns from customers' home countries to create custom clothing pieces. A Christian, Lola says her brand is her ministry. She uses the company name, which means Lord have mercy in Greek, as a faith-sharing conversation starter. Co-work in River Market. 8,000 square feet of new PlexPod space is set to open on Delaware Street this December. PlexPod founder and CEO Gerald Smith calls the space a welcome sign for River Market entrepreneurs. Also new this week, the Startland KC Cultivator Series has returned. You can check out our latest story with Thalmeus donor Bo Nelson right now by visiting startlandnews.com.
Let's give that a round of applause. Those are awesome. Now we have a couple of quick announcements, so if you told me you had one, please come forward. We'll start with Darcy. I'm also on the board of the Startup Foundation. Got some Startup Foundation people in the audience, Matthew Marcus. And this Friday is the Startup Crawl, the annual Startup Crawl. 400, 500 of your best startup friends will be going from rooftop to rooftop in the Crossroads, starting at 4:30 on Friday, and hope that you'll come. There are different packages, but there's a free package too.
Thank you. Now, Chris. There you go.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Chris with ICKC, if you haven't heard of those guys. They're Inventor Club of Kansas City. We recently won the #1 patent award for inventor clubs from the P2 office in Washington. We are having a keynote speaker, Stephen King, on October 16th, and he has written 6 books and multiple patents. And if you, I don't know if you have a pen handy, but I think we're going to put it on the website too, right? Yeah. It's Union Station, 30 West Pearsing, and it's the 16th of October from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And there's a $5 nominal fee for cookies and water and just to cover the venue. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Patricia. Okay, so I also sit on a board and a founder of what we call the Urban Networking Social. We host it every first Thursday of the month at Margaret's Place at 7217 Truce. And it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come together in one room and share ideas with each other, bounce things off of one another. We also do a 30-minute breakout session where we'll bring in someone who's an expert in their field to help you with your entrepreneurial journey. We are taking a break in October and November to get ready for the top of the year. We're doing a big youth entrepreneur event, a vendor show for the youth, ages 18 and under, in December, first Thursday in December at Margaret's Place, 7217 Truce. Thanks.
All right, and I have one quick announcement. There's a cocktails and conversation event tonight at Hotel Phillips and their speakeasy called PS, and their speaker tonight is Kay Barnes, who used to be the mayor of Kansas City, and she helped revitalize downtown. It's an intimate setting, kind of like this. You'll get to ask her whatever you want. It's a $10 ticket, and it includes a cocktail, and it's tonight at 7. Now please help me give a warm welcome for Jeff with SquareOffs.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming out to 1 Million Cups. I'm super excited to be here today, and just anxious to show you something that I think every one of you all can use. We've seen a lot of these two over the last 2 years, and in my lifetime, we're probably the most divided that we've ever been as a country. People want to voice their opinion, but there's got to be a better way. What if there was a tool to answer the question, why would someone ever think that way? To sort out the gray area. This is a square-off. A square-off is a question with 2 possible sides, where the audience can then not only vote, but maybe more importantly explain why they voted. They can then push up the top reasons, one side versus the other, in a split comment stream, where it's easily accessible to view the best comments supporting each side. SquareOffs is built to cure comment chaos and to deliver the collective truth. We are a debate platform that is meant to engage folks online and deliver revenue to publishers. Here's how it works. We're going to keep it real simple. This is a YouTube video. You've probably seen a YouTube video before. You can find them on youtube.com. You can create and share them at youtube.com. YouTube videos can also be placed out in articles. SquareOffs is essentially this same model, but instead of video, we bring the micro-debate content type. This is a SquareOff. You've probably seen one. You can find them at squareoffs.com/1MC. So this is a live link. This is the first time that we're releasing our consumer site, soft launching this. So I encourage any of you all to go ahead and check out this link. We're going to be passing out some swag at the end of the presentations for the top comments for each side. If you head out to this link, the question is, are entrepreneurs taught or are they born this way? You can create and share a SquareOffs out at squareoffs.com. Anybody can access this. Until now, it's only been some of the top publishers in the world. We've now democratized debate so that anyone can create one, and you can also place those within your article. So if you have a blog or a writer for a smaller site, you can easily go ahead and plug that in. So what does all this mean? So today, here are a few of our customers. I walked you all through a political example, but SquareOffs is very versatile. It works well in sports, news, lifestyle, fashion, etc. ESPN now has 7 different debate shows. We found a niche niche in sports through the Sports Publishers Group. This is a group of about 20 college sports sites. Secondly, we signed a lifestyle client in Dear Abby. She's the largest syndicated columnist in the world right now, and we're working with the folks at Andrews McMeel to roll out to additional columnists as well. Finally, we recently signed a deal with NPG, which is a large news organization, over 45 news sites, and not listed. We just signed a deal with a company called Tasty Trade that's a financial news network so that people can debate things like stock prices. So what is the problem that we're solving for these folks? The problem is that the conversation until now has been one-sided. People go out to read their news articles and then they take the conversation out to places like Facebook and out to Twitter. These publishers don't own their data and they don't own their monetization when all the eyeballs are out on Facebook and out on Twitter. Our whole goal is to keep them on site and to keep them there longer. So we help these publishers drive engagement, revenue, additional audience, and bring brand loyalty, one more reason to come back. So we've tried SquareOffs out in all different shapes and sizes and different parts of the web page, and these next 2 slides are where it's worked really well. First of all, in articles, This is where the writer is asking the question, and the question pertains to the content on the page. We're beating the current commenting systems by about 40% in terms of the number of comments that we're getting. So inspiring people to, by asking a question, not only frames the conversation, but keeps people more engaged. Folks are also spending 13 seconds longer on site. Secondly, polls pages. We're literally adding a new page to high traffic websites. These polls pages are getting, on average, 5 to 6 pages per visit, which is about 2.5x the average website. We're also getting about 15x the click-through rate on ads, so adding a significant revenue source to these high traffic news sites. And lastly, the opinion network. SquareOffs started as a friend of mine and I having a debate. We launched a consumer site, but thought it would be best to go ahead and land a bunch of large publishers to then aggregate all of those conversations at SquareOffs.com. We're super excited over the next month to gradually roll out our consumer-facing site. This is going to feature all the SquareOffs across our entire network. The everyday person can go ahead and create SquareOffs as well. And you'll also find top debates in news, sports, and lifestyle created by our own writers. We view this as an additional revenue source for us, great examples for our B2B customers, great SEO, and we know it's going to be highly viral. Our early test over the summer, the stats are doing incredible. I'll kind of touch on that here in a moment. Revenue sources, so enterprise level publishers, we're doing typically ad revenue share unless they don't have ads. We go the licensing route. Our destination site and app. There's now 30 million blogs in the US, 1 for every 10 people. We view this as a significant opportunity to roll out a $9 plan to bloggers down the line, as well as we're collecting valuable data to look at marketing reporting. The publishing industry in the US is currently about $75 billion, growing at right around 10% a year. So how are we attacking the market? Our whole goal is to be in the places that writers are every single day. So if you think about where writers are at, they're in the content management system where they publish their articles. WordPress currently makes up about 50% of all media sites. So we partnered with a group called HumanMake to take our WordPress plugin to market, to put that right in the hands of writers, where they can literally click an Add SquareOff button, quickly and easily add their SquareOff, as well as discover SquareOffs online. Secondly, we built a mobile SDK kit with Pinsight Media. This means that SquareOffs can easily be put by a developer into any mobile site. And then lastly, we have a full suite of APIs to plug into things like news stats. Where we're at, we've laid a lot of dynamite over the last few years, and we view the consumer site as being content marketing on steroids. The tests that we've done over the summer have the time on site at SquareOffs.com doing better than the Huffington Post and New York Times. We're extremely excited to get it out there. It's performing very well on NFL content, food, and other categories as well. To help the folks that have gotten us here, this is my fourth product that I've taken to market. I'm joined here by Rachel Smith, our CTO. You'll see here at the Q&A here in a moment. Fantastic developers in Ruben Espinosa, and Naeem Rajiv, and Dan Rohr on the design side as well. So whether it's sports, politics, or entertainment, people want a way to voice their opinion online. People want a debate, they want to square off, and we're here to make that happen. Thank you.
Okay, 1 in 10 are bloggers. I want to know who the bloggers are in the audience. Okay, we've got some potential customers right here. Did you get that, Rachel? Well, as an investor in SquareOffs, it may be kind of cheating that I'm here, so I know a lot about the company. But I want to say many good things that Jeff has done. He's been through a lot of pivots. He's been through changes in his team. And I think the most important thing that he does for me as an investor is he keeps us informed. There aren't surprises that are would be difficult for us to have a conversation with. So he has a call with his investors every month. It's a very impressive way that you run your company, so I wanted to get that out there as a best practice for companies.
Thanks, Doris. Yeah, and I'll kind of add to that too. It's a big thing as an entrepreneur to have that regular contact. I didn't do it at the start and gradually got better and better at it because I figured out, the more communication you're having with your investors, with your advisors, the more good things that are going to happen, the more connections that are going to be made and take you in the right direction.
Great presentation. I'm excited to use the app. I just get excited about a lot of things, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs. I'm just an exciting person. But I am also one of those people who dread collecting data and the back end, so I was sweating a little bit listening to your spiel up there. But as a company, is there a way that I can use your app to collect data? And then, if there is a way, is there a way that you guys can spit out like a report that analyzes the data that we collect? Like, for example, if I have, with my business, I may want to see what the participants feel, what the pros or the cons are of being at Margaret's Place, or, across the globe, what people think about, caregivers may think about, adult daycares or something like that. So is there a way that you can collect the data and then just give me that nice little nifty report?
Sure. I'm going to actually show you a visual. So first of all, we track all of these engagement stats. So major ones are how long people are spending on site, how many new readers are coming back from social when they share it. Obvious ones like votes and comment totals. We work with Quantcast, or we partnered with them to pull in demographic data, so you can see kind of the audience that's participating. Beyond that, you can explicitly ask your audience things. So, oftentimes it's not just an engagement tool, but literally asking your audience things like, say you're a web design company and you want to ask, should we go with this design or the second one?
Okay.
And you not only get the objective data, like you would with the typical poll, but you get the subjective, where that can be very valuable.
Right. So you guys create like an audience, like with your app. As a user, I can create an audience like Facebook friends or something like that, and then you poll that audience. Is that what I'm understanding?
You share. When you create a SquareOff, either you put it in an article that you've written, so then anybody who reads the article is exposed to it, or you can share it out on social media. You share a link to it with preview text.
Gotcha.
Okay, what's been the SquareOff that's had the most engagement? And can you tell us how many minutes they were on, and maybe what the average is?
So on the recent pilot with KTVZ, the Kaufman trial was big. There one a couple of days ago. I think it was in the 3,000 votes with 48 comments or something. We've had, news has been a popular category.
So how can you compare? How can you compare your engagement to Huffington Post as an example?
In terms of
the time
a
people
typical
spend on the site.
Yeah, so just getting very specific on it, our time on site over the test that we ran this summer was 5 minutes and 20 seconds, which anyone that knows much about website data, it's a pretty phenomenal number. We view as our content type, if you look at what's done well over the last 6 years, it's these bite-sized content types. Every time I go to Twitter, I know that I'm going to see a microblog. Every time I go to Instagram, I know that I'm going to see a uniform photo, if you will. We've, had a lot of questions like, can a SquareOff have 5 options? And we just view our marriage of voting and commenting that creates this conversational debate as being the one thing that we're going to really stick to.
Well, in media, it's been a difficult time for media, right, to make money. And I think it's really interesting that you guys actually have people who they'll stay on the sites in which you're embedded longer than they are in some of the sites like Huffington Post, right? So how does that translate into revenue for people who would be interested?
Yeah, a couple different ways. So I didn't mention the Huffington Post number. So Huffington Post, the average reader stays on probably just right around 2 minutes. So our solution does a few things. One, within articles, it gets people engaged. There's a direct correlation to time on site, to how much revenue they're generating. Secondly, we're in this 24/7 news cycle where these writers are really pushed to get content out very quickly. They have to be on top of breaking news. We have an option that we call the Snap article, where it's the wide format square off, and the writer is literally just asking the audience a question in the headline with maybe an action verb like vote or chime in, with the large format square off below, and just kind of letting the audience tell the story. And then finally, we have the polls page or opinion page that aggregates all of these square offs across the entire site. And that's literally new real estate for the site, where they don't have to do much work at all. It's aggregating those, and it's a place where the reader can regularly come back to and engage and generate some more revenue for the site.
We'll go ahead and open it up to audience questions. So if you have a question, please line up over here. I can get us started. My question was about customer acquisition. What kind of vetting do you do? You know, we've seen in recent years, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, having to shut down, specific accounts. So how are you vetting the customers that you do bring on?
We use a similar, we use a platform called OAuth that is used by thousands, if not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of apps across the internet. It's a way that you can sign in using other platforms. So right now we have Facebook, Google, and Twitter sign in. So we're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants with our authentication there. So that although Facebook and Twitter and companies like that have run into problems recently with verifying identity, they still have a lot more practice and a lot more time and effort put into that than we would be capable of doing in a shorter time. So we use the same platform that a lot of other companies do for authenticating their users. We also have the ability to sign in through a regular sign-up process on our app for if you're creating SquareOffs as an editor or publisher.
Rachel, I'd like to ask the obvious question. There are not a lot of women CTOs in this town. One more. Okay, that's good. We need more women CTOs in this town. Can you just give a quick what your path has been to get to SquareOffs?
Sure. Well, I studied physics in undergrad and grad school. I have a master's in physics from UMKC, and I taught on the college and high school level for a number of years. But when I was in grad school for physics, I had to take computer interfacing classes, which is like to program computers to control external machines, to do your experiments for you. And I just always found it really fascinating and rewarding. So I knew that eventually I would be interested in furthering my practice in that. And eventually transitioned from teaching into software when I worked with a friend to develop an ACT prep app. We were both tutoring for the ACT with our students, and so it just was a natural project to work on, and I got to the point where I missed my computer whenever I wasn't programming. So I knew that I had to change careers at that point. And I've been in web development for a few years now. So.
Rachel and Jeff, thank you so much for sharing this morning. I'm Kyle. I'm one of the community organizers here with 1 Million Cups. I want to say welcome to our high school entrepreneurship students. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And question for you, Jeff, what advice do you have for our young entrepreneurs here?
Get started. One of the biggest things that just stops a lot of people is not knowing where to start, and I think the key is starting it anywhere. I'm also big on advisors. I think it'll save you a lot of steps, oftentimes painful steps. I was fortunate enough to be a part of a few different communities within Kansas City. I was early on within Think Big when they were getting started. We were the 4th company in the Kansas City Startup Village. And at that time, there was, I believe, 24 companies within 6 months, all building businesses. And it was super helpful to be able to walk over to someone and get accounting advice or legal advice or solve some problem I had no clue how to solve, or at least someone that could point me in the right direction. So I would say, start to build your network a little bit at a time. And, entrepreneurship is a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But there's people around you that can help. And being at a place like 1 Million Cups, you're taking a good step there, and there's a lot of people in this room that can help you.
I think right with getting started, it's also important to think about exit strategy, whether you want to pass down for generational wealth to your children, or whether you want to sell your business. Could you talk a little bit about your exit strategy?
Yeah. I won't go into huge detail unless you guys want it, but the space that we're in digital media, moves very quickly. And there's parts of what we do that we can't necessarily patent, so we have to move fast. At the same time, the good thing that we have going for us is a lot of our customers are potential acquirers. I'll just show you actually. So within our space, which we would term as social opinion, social opinion space, there's been a number of buyouts. So discuss most recently pure commenting system there. Livefire was another one that had kind of some branding plays that Adobe bought. Polar was bought by Google. They were kind of an acqui-hire type situation. PopTip was a data play if you know anything about Palantir. And GoPolgo was bought by Yahoo. So a lot of big media groups that you're seeing there. So we have completed a seed round to date, and excited to have Casey Rise as part of that. Our Series A, we're definitely looking for strategic investors, meaning publishers. So we're taking a lot of trips to New York, a few to Silicon Valley, to look to partner with groups like Hearst and Condé Nast and those types.
Good morning, great presentation. I love this idea. I was checking everything out on the website that you had posted, and I noticed that in the comments, you limit it to 200 characters. So I was wondering if that was strategic to keep the debate to a minimum so that things don't get out of hand, because there are a lot of very controversial topics that I noticed, which is great, and I think that's obviously a big key point of the platform. But I was just wondering if that was a strategic move?
It is a bit. So, to be honest, I'm not necessarily always the guy that's like reading the comments in an article. I'm not huge on Reddit just because of the UI, but the framework of SquareOffs just keeps things very clear, but you can still answer that question of, gosh, why would someone ever think that way? I do think keeping it concise helps people come up with a more thoughtful answer. And then we show the top 2 most voted up, followed by the most recent. So everybody has their chance to have their voice heard, but you know that you can see, good information. But that's part of the reason we call it a micro debate, so it's not like a long drawn out thing.
You have another t-shirt.
I do.
All right, final question. What can we as a community do to help you?
While I'm getting this slide up too, I just want to say Rachel Smith has been fantastic. So one other piece of advice in a small company is you need versatile people involved. And so, any of you folks looking to start founding teams, my title is look for versatile people because you're going to be wearing many hats. How you can help? Just use our product. We'd love to get it out there for any purposes. We've had banks use it. for financial news or customer feedback. We've had, fashion bloggers use it. We're anxious to see it get used in ways that maybe we never even thought of. Product review is another one that we haven't really touched. Share them out. So if you're out on SquareOffs.com, share them out to your friends and followers. Our email address is info@squareoffs.com there. And come up to us afterward today. Anybody that commented, we have some SquareOffs swag for you. And one more thing.
I'll do it in the back.
All right, thanks. Building a business is very hard. And I mentioned this earlier, but I'm huge on advisors, and we have some world-class advisors. Howard Tolman, CEO of 1871 in Chicago. Larry Hackett was former editor-in-chief of People magazine. Fraser, head of partnerships at McClatchy, a big news group. Mark Potts literally built the first digital version of the Washington Post. Dan and Sarah are here in town and have huge experience in publishing and advertising. Casey and quizzes specifically, and Mike Aronow was a former CBS guy. These are huge advisors, and part of the reason that we got a few of these was because I'm in pipeline. And I cannot stress to you all enough the fantastic network and mentors that come with pipeline. And this is not just a one-year thing, this is a lifelong thing. So one of the things that I really loved about my class is we had folks from all different genders and races and ages and different stages of their business, so that when you were talking about a problem that you're facing in your business, it was getting looked at from all these different angles that you may not have otherwise come up with yourself. And I have those lifelong friends to help me going forward. So they'll help push you through those steps back, those tough times. And also, Pipeline makes you kind of get out of your day-to-day for at least 4 times a year to really step out of the weeds and focus working on your business instead of in your business, and that's a huge thing for a lot of people. Applications are due by October 22nd. That's the 2019 class right there. And I was fortunate enough to be officed alongside Toby Rush in Startup Village, who exited iVerify and Zillows, and just learned a lot of great lessons from him. Toby, thankfully, really encouraged me to apply. I told him the first year that I was too busy, and I didn't need one more thing on my plate, but a lot of it is about working smarter and not harder. And then I talked to Davion Ross, and this is what Davion told me. And that just kind of always stuck with me. I knew if Davion said, you'd be a fool not to do it, but that definitely meant something coming from him, so. That may be not Davion approved, but that's just cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here today. So bear with me a second. This is actually my last day at 1 Million Cups. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm coming up. So I will say I have given almost 4.5 years of my life to this program, so that is obviously amazing. And I did a quick calculation, and I think it's been about 1,200 hours of my time. So, all of these other great people that are up on the stage that volunteer their lives, we give 300 hours a year, and it's at least a year commitment. So thank you to all the people that have been on the stage with me, my wonderful business partner for giving me the time to be here weekly, and to the audience. I have met countless of great individuals here in this room, and I know that I will miss it, but I will still be around. So please come say hi, and thank you.
So, I'm Erin Jenkins. I'm a program officer at the Kauffman Foundation on the entrepreneurship team. And when I moved back to Kansas City a year and a half ago, 1MC was the first stop in getting connected to the entrepreneurship community. And I was lucky enough to meet Courtney, and she was gracious enough to take me to coffee, to introduce me to people, to introduce me to events. And when I think about 1MC and sort of the spirit of what the goals are and what it is Courtney. So I'm grateful in my own personal experience with you and with this place, but 4.5 years, all your time, the Kauffman Foundation is grateful and honored to have you a part of it. So, thank you.
One more thank you, and then I'm sure you'll get many more from our community. On behalf of myself and the organizers, Courtney, thank you so much. I'll get personal for a second and share that when I started on as an organizer, I was in a rough spot, man, and you believed in me and said, come on board, be a part of the family, and it's just meant the world to me. As Aaron shared, you really are the epitome of everything that makes 1 Million Cups special. Guys, if you've ever come to 1 Million Cups and thought, that's a pretty cool place, that's a pretty special community, that's really Courtney. We've had so many entrepreneurs on this stage share about how they're giving back to their community, and that's exactly what you've done for all of these years. And also, I just wanted to say that we love you, and it's the kind of love that we can talk about in front of your husband. It's the kind of love that we can talk about in front of a room full of people and on Facebook Live, because it's the kind of love that makes us better as humans and as a city and as a community. So thank you so much for everything you've done for 1 Million Cups in Kansas City. And to give a hug to Courtney. We will see you next Wednesday at 9 a.m. Thanks, guys.
had like 5.
You've been on my list anyway.
Talk to our doctors.
Talk to your doctors, and then when you talk to your doctors, what you'll get is what's called a direct address. Some doctors will know what this, some don't, which is like a travesty because, you are entitled to a copy of your medical record. You send it to where you want to. Direct addresses are much better for our system. The application process is like security and privacy and trust and all that stuff. I think it's really going to be quite TikTok. 2 years ago.
Our generation has the biggest ones right now.
Very impressive. Great job. I love the lady. Can we get a business card? I want to give it to you.
I would imagine residents
Take care. Good luck.
You said thank you.
Publicized it, you know, like hit me up for a card afterwards.
I just wanted to come say hi and say I'm sorry that I did not follow up.
You're totally fine.
I have a 2.5-year-old and 2 businesses and this, and it's like,
No,
I really
totally.
No,
we actually ended up pushing our event to the spring just because it was just too much for us too. So
bandwidth is
yeah.